Welcome to Your Iconic Image. If you want to take control of your image and be a power player in your space, then this is the show for you. Here we will arm you with tools and information to help you grow your brand on purpose. I'm your host, Marlana Semenza, photographer and visual strategist. Now let's dive into today's episode. Fred Joyal is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, business advisor, and co-founder of 1-800-Dentist. He's previously written 2 books on marketing, dabbled in some stand-up and improv comedy, acted in bad movies and excellent TV commercials, once beat Sir Richard Branson in chess, and was a question on Jeopardy! He's an avid cyclist, a below-average tennis player, and an even worse golfer. But today, despite all of that material, we are actually going to talk about the subject of his latest book, which is Super Bold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days. Welcome, Fred.
Thank you very much, Marlana. I'm very excited to be here and talk to your audience.
So tell us first, what exactly does Super Bold mean?
Super bold means that, and it's bold. I always have to remind people it's bold, not Super Bowl. It's not a book about football. But when you are super bold, you can bring your full confidence into action in every situation, especially when it really matters, when it's critical, when it's important, when it's pivotal in your life. And that takes building your boldness muscle. Nobody's born with this. Some people are bolder a little bit by nature and a little bit by nurture. And most of us are confident in some situations and hesitant and shy in other situations, very often when they're really important. So the goal is to develop this ability to summon your boldness in every situation. And and that's what I teach in the book, because that's what I had to teach myself.
So let me ask you this, for somebody who would not consider herself to be a bold person, is it something that all of us can learn? Because what if we feel that we just don't have it in us?
Well, as long as you can speak or sign, even, you have it in you. It is not a genetic thing to be shy or introverted. It is mostly some level of socialization and programming and imprinting from parents and things like that. And of course, the majority of it is the stuff we tell ourselves that we are not worthy, that we are not good at. And we have an enormous list of what we're not good at. I can't dance. I can't sing. I'm not good at math. I don't like public speaking. I can't sell. All of these things. None of these things are anything but truths that we have made true by telling ourselves these things. And so I started off as an incredibly shy person. I couldn't ask a girl on a date. I couldn't ask a girl to dance. And this is how old I am, is people asked each other to dance. But even in work situations, I couldn't, somebody tried to give me a job as a salesman. I was working in their business, tried to give me a job in the sales department, and said, here's a phone, here's a desk, start calling all these people and see if they want to do business with it. I couldn't dial the phone one time. And so I was like back to the machine shop floor. That's where I ended up. And it really frustrated me, because I said, why are people like this? Why are bold people? Because I see them in action. I see them doing stuff. Why are they like this? Why doesn't rejection affect them? Why are they not stopping themselves? I'm stopping myself everywhere. And so I just started to emulate them, even though it was really uncomfortable to do it. And what I did is I gradually built this positive feedback loop by being bold, by acting confident when I wasn't, and not letting my fear stop me. And it just increased the number of situations that I was comfortable in. And it just got better and better and better. But it took decades. And so I decided, how did I learn? How did I change myself? Because it didn't change my personality. It allowed me to bring my full self out in every situation where I wanted to. And so I looked at how I did it and I brought it into a systematic way that somebody can really compress the process and have the skill to apply it to get their boldness muscles stronger and stronger and stronger for the rest of their life. I'm getting bolder all the time still, but when I'm hesitant, when I start to hesitate, I know what to do. I know not to listen to the voice in my head, and I know how step by step how to instantly act. It's like a process of like, do this and this, and then just step up and speak up and act. So then, it's anybody can learn it. You can learn
it. So then talk to us a little bit about what that process looks like.
So what I've created in the book is a method called the Pride method. And it's an acronym, but I like the word because I tell people, why wouldn't you want to live a life that you were proud of instead of a life of regret, of missed opportunities and hesitation and things gnawing at you because you wish you'd tried them or said them. And this is the number one thing people say on their, on their last days or on their deathbed. It's not the things, they don't regret anything they did. They always regret the things they didn't do, the things they didn't say. I didn't tell my wife I loved her enough. I didn't heal my relationship with my sister. Instead, let it just drift away for 20 years. Those are the things they regret. I should have quit that job earlier. I should have, started that business, whatever. This is what they do. So I want people to live a fulfilling, satisfying life. That's what the book is about, is to chase your dreams as best you can with confidence and boldness. So the Pride method, there's a long intro to that, obviously, but the Pride method, the acronym is preparation, relaxing, insight, dosage, and everyday action. And I'll break each one of them down.
Please do.
The first step is preparation. We don't think we have to prepare for social situations, which is really bizarre. We don't. And so the beginning of my book, a good portion of the beginning of my book is social skills, communication skills, how to talk to somebody, mistakes people make when they're meeting somebody or introducing themselves to somebody or presenting themselves, doing all of those things that they feel are socially challenging because they're doing stuff wrong, because nobody taught them. I mean, people aren't taught how to shake hands or make eye contact or ask open-ended questions and be interested in people. So that first step is, and I'll use an example of you want to talk to a stranger, and it could be in the Starbucks line, because all you're trying to do is build your boldness muscle, right? So you're going to do an exercise and you say, all right, I'm going to talk to this person in front of me in the line. So your first thing you're going to do is prepare yourself. You're going to prepare what you're going to say. And the easiest thing is to say a compliment. Very few people are offended by compliments. We all think we have to be so witty and clever and interesting. We don't have to be any of those things. We just have to be nice and interested in people. So you just say, wow, that beard looks terrific on you, or that suit looks great, or that handbag just goes so well with your whole outfit. You prepare that and you just say it. And then the other preparation is to not have an outcome in mind, not have some sort of agenda, some hidden agenda. And I want to tell you this story because it happened to me last week. As I was getting in my elevator, and there was a mom and her young daughter. She was maybe 4, and she had her bike and her helmet on, and her helmet had all this funny dinosaur design on it. And so I said, I really like your helmet. She says, oh, yes, it matches my bike. I said, do you want to push my floor? And because kids love to push the elevator buttons. So she said, yes. I said, it's number 4. And so she says, oh, you're only 1 floor away from us. We can come up and visit. And I thought, when did that it was so sweet. And when did that change? When did we stop being like that? But what worked for her, why it was so appealing, is there was no hidden agenda. There was no, if I was doing that with an attractive woman in the elevator and I said, hey, we're only one floor apart, I can come up and visit sometime, she would have perceived,
called the police.
yeah, right, get me out of this elevator. So because there would have been a perceived agenda right. to it. So when you do this, the part of your preparation is just, I'm just going to be generous with a compliment. That's all I'm trying to do. The next thing you're going to do, the R in pride, is relax. You're going to relax yourself. Now, nobody teaches you how to do that either. They say, just relax. It's like, and you say, if I could do that, I would. Not to mention, now you're telling me I look nervous, which makes me more nervous. I was already nervous, but now I know it shows. So there are very simple things you can do to relax yourself. The first thing, check your physiology, because we tense up. We hold our breath sometimes even. And so the idea is are your arms crossed? What are you doing physically? Notice it and release it. Shake it off. And then breathe. Just take 2 or 3 deep breaths. I'll do this if I'm going on stage with a big audience, 1,000, 5,000 people. I'm backstage and I want to bring full energy, no anxiety. So I take 3 really deep breaths before I go on stage, and it relaxes you. It works on your nervous system. And there's actually more techniques I teach in the book, but they work. And it's the same process of when somebody notices you're nervous, it makes you more nervous. When you start to relax yourself, you say to yourself, oh, I'm in control. I can actually, and it makes you more relaxed. You say, I'm dialing it back and it's working. And then now it's energy to tap into. And so you're relaxed. Now the next insight is what bold people, there's several insights that I talk about in the book. So, but they are social insights. One is people are not thinking about you anywhere near as much as you think they are. They're thinking about themselves. They may, and the other thing is they are having a judgment about you, just like you are having about them, based on practically nothing, right? They don't actually know you. So they're judging you by your height, your weight, your hairstyle, your clothing. I have found I'm wrong about 90% of the time when I start like that. And so bold people don't worry about, they have what other people think of them. They say this thing, which is really fascinating. These other people's opinion of me is none of my business, which is an amazing transition in your mindset. There's a small group of people whose opinions really matter to them. And the rest of them, they don't worry about it. It's when people tell me, oh, everybody's going to laugh at me. Really? Everybody? Yeah. And you know them all and they know you. And that makes you, somebody who should feel insignificant or weird or humiliated. Who are these people?
Yeah.
Why are you
it's interesting.
About?
It's interesting. Let me just interject this, because I heard once somebody say, if you have a problem with me, then call me. If you don't have my number, then you don't know me well enough to have a problem. And it's that kind of a thing, because like you said, so many people that we worry about. Why are we worrying?
Yes, and that's what I mean. It's a real, an insight, like an epiphany, like you go, what, why am I? And so you ask yourself it's that very specific line, they're all going to laugh at you. Ask yourself, could that possibly be true? They're going to be 10 reactions to you, most likely. Or if there's 100 people, could be 100 reactions. When I'm on stage, there's going to be people who think I'm brilliant. There's going to be people who think I'm funny, people who think I have valuable insights, people who think I've heard all this before, and people who think I'm an idiot. So I don't worry about the people who think I'm an idiot. I can't get everybody. Just like a stand-up comic, he's not going to make everybody laugh. She's not going to have the whole audience with her. She's aiming for the majority and is not worried about it, and is not even worried. If a joke doesn't work, she doesn't have to kill herself. She just goes to the next joke. it's a very powerful thing. It's like, I don't have to own the joke. I don't have to own what happens, what I did. And I like to get this across too, is that and being embarrassed is a choice. First of all, dying of embarrassment is not a reality. It is not a medical reality. So it's an interpretation of the events and deciding how to feel about something. And I'll give you, as a woman, you'll appreciate this story, because a friend of mine is a terrific speaker. She was on stage, big audience, and she breaks her heel. Now, as you know, that's horrifying to do when she's got another 90 minutes to do. And all the women in the audience are like, this, oh my God, I pray that would never happen to me. Because they've all broken a heel somewhere, somehow. So instead of running off the stage or just panicking or whatever, she looks down, kicks her shoes off, and says, I guess I got to start spending more than $30 on shoes. First of all, the audience, because they were so nervous for her, now they burst out laughing. And she owns them at that point, because she's rolled with it. She's decided not to interpret it as bad. She decided to make it fun.
So in a situation like that, let me ask you, is it beneficial for our psyche to get people to laugh with us than at us?
There's nothing wrong with having people laugh at you, because if you're trying to make them laugh and they're laughing at you, it's just funny. There's nothing wrong with being laughed at. If there's a cruelty to it, I mean, I think the lowest life form in the world is a bully.
Yeah.
And all of bullying comes from gross inadequacy. And that's another insight you can have too, as a young person. If I, were teaching a young person about bullies, I'd say, you know why he does that? Because he feels so insignificant that he's got to make you less than him.
Mm.
And so feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
And by the way, and here's how you punch him back in the nose. There's a little sidebar on self-defense, but that's somebody being cruel. I get no tolerance for cruelty, and people are, online, they really enjoy being cruel and stuff like that, and it's low life behavior, and you're gonna learn to regret it. And that's what I actually tell people, also younger people, is one of the things you're going to regret most in life is the times you were cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And so be careful.
Any quick tips for it when we are online, let's say, because it's very easy for people to sit on the other side of a screen anonymously and spout out all the things that we would be insecure about. Is there a way to flip the script in our mind so we can continue to be bold and still put ourselves out there? Or is that just kind of all part of this?
Step one is don't engage, because one, you're not going to convince them to think differently. Ignorant people like being ignorant, right? There's a comfort to it because they don't have to let any new information in. So, and they like to, the reason they have to hold their position so strongly is they're so insecure about it. It's why, I won't go in that direction. I was going to go in the whole direction of religion, which is a giant sidebar. But all you can do is do like this woman did. They say something really mean or sarcastic or insulting. I just put like a laugh emoji up. Like, yeah, that's funny. That's funny that you would think. I'm not going to say that it's amazing that you think that, or I'm fascinated that that's how you process information or whatever. I'm just going to laugh.
Yeah.
And I will not engage, because that's what they're hoping for. And when you rise above that, it's when you take the high road and say, yeah, I'll let other people call you an idiot, which is what some people will do. They'll just get right on and say, buddy, you're so off. And I pity you because this is how you need to express yourself. you know. And so I think the real trick online is to not engage. Let other people speak up for you, but don't give them the satisfaction that you even read it. If it's really bad, just leave it there. Just let them embarrass themselves.
Yeah. Okay, continue on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I think it's really important to understand, because so much of it goes on. That if you have any influence in the world out there, if you are moving up in the world in terms of your reputation and recognition, it's coming at you. So you have to find a way, one, to not take it on and just feel bad for the person that's how they need to, that cowardly way that they need to express themselves. There's no reason to say anything. And there are times when some people will write something directly to me. The other really important thing is, don't answer that day. Do not answer immediately. Put a gap in between. Put time and space between your reactions so that you can, because the question is, what do you want the outcome to be by your response? It's very seldom what it would be by your reaction.
Very true.
Yeah. The wisdom in life is to put that pause in between stimulus and response, between reaction and response. It is where all your growth can occur, where communication can actually happen. I do that with emails where people really like frustrate me, and I say, yeah, you know what, that email, my response is not going out. And the next day I have a measured response calculated for what I want the outcome to be. So that there's that too. So insights, and these are all insights in terms of how to communicate effectively. But the other insight that is important is what bold people know is that 99% of the time, nothing bad happens unless you decide to label it that way, like breaking your heel. One of the exercises I have in my book is, when you see a sign that says, on a door that says employees only, go in, because nothing bad will happen. It's an exercise to teach yourself, because as you reach for the doorknob, you go, oh my gosh, it says employees only, I can't go in there. You actually can't. If it's unlocked, you can go in. It's just a sign to keep you out. On the other side, there's nobody that's going to stop you. Most of the time, they're not even going to say anything. They may say something. They may say hello. They may say, can I help you? Or they may actually say, this is for employees only. So what? You're teaching yourself that it's not a big deal, and that you had all of this fear about opening a door and walking through it, as if somebody was going to beat you to death on the other side. And so these exercises in my book are a lot about just realizing that we are telling ourselves all of these stories that bold people don't. They may hear them in their head, but they just don't listen. They say, I'm going in, I'm trying it, I am stepping up. And that's what, and just as a side note, when that is really essential on your pathway to boldness is, when you try and don't succeed, it's almost as satisfying as trying and succeeding, because you don't have to beat yourself up about not trying. If you want to say, I really want to meet that person, that guy looks really interesting or really successful or really famous or whatever it is, and you decide you want to meet them, but you say, oh, well, he doesn't really want to talk to me. I'm insignificant. He's busy. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a fiance, whatever, you start telling yourself all that stuff, and you don't do anything. Instead of walking over and saying, hi, I'm Marlana. I'd really like to meet you. And he could turn out to be totally rude or insignificant to meet, or he could be really friendly. It doesn't matter, because if for whatever reason he had 2-3 sentences back and forth, and then he turned away and started talking to other people, at least you tried. Right. And you said, I stepped up, and I feel pretty good about myself for doing it. Because you don't feel good about yourself when you don't, because you guaranteed failure. The only failure is to not step up, because you learned something by walking over. You said, you know what? I came off as really nervous, and I didn't want to come off that way anymore. So I'm going to have to do this more.
Yeah.
And I forgot to ask him a really open-ended question. I came up and said, how you doing? Like, which is hello, right? It is not really a question.
Right.
So, and that's part of preparation too, is knowing how to ask open-ended questions. So it's insights like that. And then dosage is the D in pride. Very important as you are building your boldness is to control the intensity of the experience. You're moving into your discomfort zone, so you don't want to overdose that experience. You don't want to make it so intense that you have to retreat back into your shell. You don't say, I want to meet people, so I'm going to go to a party where I don't know anybody, and I'm going to make sure I meet at least 20 people. It's not going to happen if you're not good at that. I can do that. I couldn't do that. I could go to a party and meet no one all night. Nobody. I'm the one standing around looking at the bookcase and the CD collection and everything like that. That used to be me until somebody approached me. Now I'm meeting people, introducing people to other people, doing drive-by compliments, doing all of that stuff, and asking questions. They don't know. A lot of people learn nothing about me except that I'm really curious about who they are. And it's really powerful, but I didn't start that way. I didn't do that to myself. And the exercises in the book were actually designed in the same principles as learning to do improv comedy. Is you start at a very basic level, non-verbally, just smile at people, and then gradually work your way up, and you're aiming for failure. It's an exercise, just like you're doing push-ups or sit-ups to failure. You're doing it till you can't do anymore. So these exercises are like, I'm going to smile at everybody till somebody doesn't smile back, and then not take it on. Think about, hear what you're saying to yourself. Oh, I must look funny, or, I'm not worthy of meeting them, or, my smile didn't make them happy. This could have been the worst day of their life. You gotta flip it around and say, why would I worry about them not smiling when 9 people just smiled at me, which was way more maybe than you thought would smile at you. But either way, you don't have to take it on, because you don't know why. You don't have to tell yourself you're unworthy. If you can deprogram that sentence, that voice in your head that says you are not worthy, that alone will transform your life. Because why do you decide whether you're unworthy? Let somebody else tell you you're unworthy, and then doubt the veracity of that.
Yeah.
So it's control. So, and what you're just like exercise, you're trying to build your boldness muscle. So you're doing it gradually to tolerance, whatever you want to call it. And then learning from it, saying, what happened? I could have said something a little differently. I've done it a couple of times where I got really successful in the first part of the conversation, and I was so happy about how well it went that I walked away. And I should have said, hey, we should, let's meet together. I'd love to talk about, your new business sometime, or I think we could both learn from each other. Let's grab dinner or something like that. And I was so successful that I didn't want to blow it. And I dove off early. Yeah. And then I got to reflect and said, why did I jump off? Because I was a little anxious. I was like, oh, it's going good. I don't want to blow it. And eventually you get better and better and better. But you don't pursue an outcome at the start, because people sense that. Right. They sense desperation and neediness. Right. You're not leading with your giving hand. You're reaching out with your getting hand. Right. And that turns people off completely. Right. We all have that. We can sense that in seconds.
And it seems like that either way, whatever the outcome is, you've still learned something, because if it goes really well, then you've learned, okay, I didn't die from this, and, I'm learning how to do this. And if it doesn't go well, then you can take that as a learning experience. Okay, well, can I have done differently so you know how to approach it the next time?
Yeah. And that's what in the exercises I have you do in the book, and there's 5 levels of them. After every day of exercises, you're going to journal and you're going to say, what happened? What did I do? What could I have done better? What did I learn from it? How will I approach it differently? Just to mine that. Because if you don't do that, you think, oh, well, I'm going to remember. You're not going to remember a lot of that stuff until you take the extra step and say, okay, what really happened? What did I say? What was going on? Oh yeah, you know what I could have said? Because you always could have come up with something maybe a little better. And now in your head you say, yeah, here we go. There was a moment when she said this, and all I had to do was ask her about that, and she would have told me a whole story that would have been so interesting and would have been so personal and for her to reveal. And I didn't open the door.
Mm-hmm.
And on reflection, you say it was right there to just open it, and I didn't ask. So
Mm.
you learn from it, and you will get better. But there's a positive feedback loop that goes on as you do this, because this is why bold people are bold, is because they're being rewarded for it all the time. And all the people who are hesitant are not being rewarded for it. They're living in the psychological blockage that they've created for themselves. And bold people get nervous, anxious, but they don't stop. I've been on stage where, like, I'll get off the stage and my armpits are soaked, because it's like I'm a little bit nervous, but mostly I'm energized. But my body still is going to have an autonomic reaction to risk, which goes to the lizard brain. The lizard brain perceives psychological danger and physical danger the same way. Right. I think we need to sweat. I think we need to hold our memory down. I think we don't need our cognitive skills. We're busy trying to protect ourselves. I'm going to slow our breathing down, deprive us of oxygen, increase our blood pressure. I'm going to do all these things that would work if we were on the African plain and the saber-toothed tiger was stalking us, but not when you're at a party.
I don't know. I'm sure I saw her sitting in the corner, that saber-toothed tiger.
No, they are, the imaginary saber-toothed tigers are all in our head, yakking away.
And so
there's dosage, controlling the dosage
mm-hmm.
of it, and building your boldness muscle by venturing into your discomfort zone. Then finally, it's everyday action. And 2 things happen when you do stuff, and this is a life skill. This doesn't just apply to boldness. What you do every day tells your brain, this is who you are. This is what we're going to do. If you exercise on the weekends, your brain knows you're a weekend warrior. If you try to move every day and exert yourself and get your heart rate up every day, your brain says, I'm a person who exercises. If you run every other day, your brain says, wow, I'm going to run. And then in between, I'm going to do yoga and stretching. I am a physical person. And the brain will resist it. Is there any of us who enjoys the first 5 minutes of a workout? The brain is going, what are we doing? Why don't we sit down? There's no need. There's no danger. Why are we running?
Yeah.
So, and the trick is to start. And so when you set your goal is, I'm going to do a boldness exercise every day, you don't have to decide whether you're going to do it or not. You decide which one you're going to do. And then you do it early so that maybe you'll have a success, and you'll say, I'm going to do 3 or 4 of these. That was kind of fun. And eventually it becomes your default mode, because your brain says, I'm just somebody who walks up and talks to people. I'm just somebody who tries stuff. When somebody says, what do you think? I say yes. You want to do this? Yeah. I don't know how to do it, but yeah. Want to dance? I don't know how to dance, but yeah. I'll get on the dance floor with you and we'll see how it goes. Want to sing backup for me at karaoke? Yeah, I've got a terrible voice, but I'm sure.
So
the other thing about everyday action is it aggregates. However little you do every day aggregates with anything. If you were writing a book and you wrote one sentence a day, you would have something in a year. Whereas if you only wrote when you felt like it or exercised when you felt like it, you would do it like 2 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, suddenly as time goes by, you've got something, and that's satisfying. So I just wanted to make sure those two things were there.
Yeah, that's important. So do you think that confidence and boldness are synonymous, or do you think they are coworkers?
Confidence is how you feel about yourself. Boldness is your confidence in action. Boldness is doing stuff, stepping up, speaking up, trying stuff, taking risks, taking chances, saying yes. When somebody said to me, if you had one thing to tell somebody about, who was 17 or 18 or whatever, and you wanted to impart, compress all of this book into one sentence, I would say, yeah, step up and don't worry about what happens. And because if you're worried about what happens, you're going to stop yourself. If you step up and say, whatever happens, that's what's I'm going to roll with it. And it becomes very powerful. The other thing that I say is, just like that worthiness, it's a worthiness message, but just say, I belong wherever I am, because that's how bold people behave. I've been in rooms where everybody makes way more money than me, way more successful, or even way more famous, or whatever. I'm not famous, but I mean, just several levels. And I'm in the room and I say, I belong here because I'm a human being just like them. And I am not unworthy of speaking to them. Mm-hmm. And it's just because you can make that true for yourself just as easily. Yeah. And because of it, most of the time, something interesting will happen, usually something really good. And you don't know what that thing's going to be. Bold people also know to just trust the journey. I'm going out there and interesting things are going to come my way, and I won't know where they come from, but I'm busy saying yes.
Love all of that. And with that, Fred, I just have 4 final questions for you. Okay. First one is, what is the best piece of advice you were ever given?
Quit your job. Because I was not a good employee. And I had authority issues, and I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And it forced me to find a way to survive on my own as a writer and then as an entrepreneur.
Love it. Share with us one thing on your bucket list.
I really want to go to Antarctica, but I have heard that Drake Passage is one of the worst boat rides you will ever go through. And I get seasick on regular boats, but I really, it's the only continent I haven't been to. Mm-hmm. And I really want to get there. Nice. And actually, ideally, scuba dive there, but that takes even more preparation. And you can only go for about 10 minutes because you'll die.
Okay, then. Okay, when the toy companies finally get around to making an action figure of you, what 2 accessories will it come with?
It has to be a jetpack, because who doesn't want to fly around?
Exactly.
And it's got a telescopic vision like an eagle, so that I can zoom.
Nice. And last thing, how do people find you? How do people get the book?
Book is available on Amazon. It's in hardcover. It's in Audible, and it's me reading it. And it is in Kindle as well, of course. So there's digital versions and hardcover versions. My website, fredjoyal.com, is where you can download the first chapter if you want. I do keynotes as well if you want me speaking to your team. And I do executive coaching. I coach a handful of CEOs, helping them to be bolder, and also passing on my 30 years of experience running 1-800-DENTIST, where I made many mistakes. My motto is, you can hit different potholes than I did, or not hit them at the same speed I did. And so, and also, just as a side note, if you listen to the book or read it on Kindle, you can download the exercises from my website so that you have the physical version of them, because you're going to want a printed version of the exercises. So I want them to be available to you. And there's a couple of me videos of me doing boldness lectures as well on the website.
Love it. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Marlana.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, I'm Marlana Semenza, photographer and visual strategist. Please comment, like, or share this episode, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more information on how I can help you create your iconic image, visit marlanasemenza.com.